Right, lads, let's move things on, and to kick things off, the news that dominated last week was, of course, the announcement that Jonny Sexton is to leave Leinster at the end of the season and to play in France. Despite reports and quotes to the contrary, it looks like his new club will be Racing Métro, and it's a 2-year contract. It's reported to be around 750,000 per year, with the IRFU unable to match the offer. Porrick, coming to yourself as a Leinster fan, what are your thoughts on the offer? A no-brainer, I think, for Sexton. Racing getting a very good player.
They are indeed, and certainly it seems like something that he would have had a great difficulty turning down. Obviously, there's a lot of kind of hearsay and this, that, and the other thing going on at the moment. It's hard to know exactly what the story is in terms of what the contract is worth and why you couldn't reach an agreement with the IRFU. I'm not going to claim to have any kind of inside information, so I will just kind of mention a couple of the theories and talk about them a little bit. I know that Sexton, his uncle, in the paper was saying that Sexton simply wanted to have his wage matched with Heaslip, or the Godfather even. His wage matched with Heaslip. If the RFU weren't willing to do that, then I would lay the blame fairly squarely at them, because Sexton certainly isn't enough to deserve to be the kind of at the same level as the top paid player in Ireland. But then I've heard other things saying he was offered more than that, up to about $500,000. Of course, you have to remember the Racing deal is supposed to be about 750,000. He gets paid for playing for Ireland at the top of that again, which makes it all the more difficult for the RFU to match. I think as well, you have to bear in mind, he's won everything almost there is to win with Leinster, except a bloody Rabo, but hopefully he can get that this year. So he's done a less of the kind of... I remember O'Gara having very similar conversations about leaving, right, when he was about the same age, but he didn't want to leave Munster before they won the Heineken Cup, because he felt that he would be missing out and it was kind of an uncompleted goal. Sexton has been at the top of Europe now for 3 years out of the last 4. I think he's been far and away the best fly half in the Heineken Cup for most of that time, and he has nothing else left to prove here in Leinster. So that, it's going to be financially, sure, it's very difficult to turn down, but it's also a new challenge and a new environment which may appeal to him. I'm sad that he's leaving. I would be even more sad if he's going to Racing, because I think they're struggling at the moment, the top 14. I know there are a lot of injuries at the start of the season, so hopefully they get up back into the Heineken Cup next year, because it would be a shame for the Heineken Cup not to have a player of the calibre of Jonathan Sexton. And they've got a lot of actually signings for next season, supposedly. Again, France can't announce any of their signings till April 15th, I think it is. So they're mostly just rumours. But they seem to be putting together quite a good squad to put a big kind of a push for the top 14 next year. So hopefully, I'm not... It's sad, but sure, I think he's not going to be the last to do it, but I wouldn't think it's going to be a massive exodus either. I think it's a slightly unique situation in terms of just the sheer amount of money he can command.
Yeah, John, a lot of people are worried about the fact that this could open the floodgates for other Irish players to move abroad. What do you think? Is there a chance now that a lot of our top guys are going to be jumping on this bandwagon?
Hopefully not. I think it might be an isolated incident, and hopefully it just doesn't set a precedent, because we have so many brilliant players that are playing here, and the fact that they're playing here really benefits our national side. And if they were to go abroad, it would be to the detriment of the national side, I feel. But hopefully that won't happen. It's just that the offer was just mouth-watering and be difficult. I mean, after the duration of his stay at Racing, he could easily come back to Ireland and go to Leinster or Munster. It could be a blessing in disguise in one way, but certainly for the short term, it's not great for Irish rugby.
Yeah, a blessing in disguise, maybe long term or that. Luke, just to get a Welsh perspective on this whole thing, I mean, we've seen a situation maybe similar to the Welsh regions, where they weren't able to hold on to a lot of their players. How would you view this Sexton move to Racing Métro?
Yeah, I mean, there's about 12 or 14 or so of what Wales boys are playing in France at the moment. A couple of years ago, it was viewed as quite a good thing. People used Stephen Jones, the number 10, as an example. He played all his career for Clefley. and then went over to France, played I think 2 years, played very well, played a lot of rugby, and then returned a better player, and played for another sort of 4 or 5 years in Cletley. But now we know not only the top players like Byrne and Phillips have gone, but some of the, maybe the less experienced players like Brew are over there playing as well. So for Wales, I think it's been a problem, and it's set to be a big problem. I think Jamie Roberts looks like he's going over there. Luke Charteris is heading over there as well. So I know that Ireland has a slightly different tax system that rewards players for staying in Ireland. I think I'm correct in saying that. I mean, there isn't anything like that in Wales. There isn't that kind of incentive. But I guess whether Sexton is just the start of an exodus or not, I'm not so sure. I'd hope not for the Rabo and for Irish rugby.
Indeed, it is, and I guess that brings up the whole argument of money coming into the game of rugby. We see it so rampant in football these days that maybe perhaps rugby will eventually go down that route. The more popular it becomes.